Okay. I'd like to call the Board of Public Works to order for the meeting of June 14th, 2017. First thing is to ask if anybody's recording this other than LCAT.
Shirley Tancredi for the minutes.
Thank you, Shirley. First on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes of the May 30th, 2017 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of May 30th.
I wasn't here. Right there. So. All right, I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is the Lorenzo Superintendent's report.
Thank you. First thing I want to do is to go through our last monthly budget summary for this year. That's behind the minutes in your package. We're really right where we want to be at this time. Close to, but not over our budget. We are in week number 49. That puts us just shy of 94%, 93.9% through the year. If you take a look at each one of the divisions, we compare very favorably to where we were last year. Got to give Bruce credit because his expense budget, he's off by 0.4%, but all of our other budgets were a reasonable amount below what our allocation is. So we expect to finish the year below the budget or below the budget with some cushion. Building expenses, again, Bruce is managing his activity, so he's going to be right on budget, I expect, at the end of the year. Our energy budget, as we talked about before, we continue to do very well in electricity compared to the previous year. We're about $50,000 less than last year as a result of some of the energy efficiency projects that we've done. We are significantly higher on natural gas this year, which isn't surprising if you take a look at what the weather was like last winter versus this winter. So it's not surprising. Natural gas is up, but electricity is down much more than natural gas was up. So overall,
We had a new contract, right?
plus we had a new contract that the unit price went up. So not only did we save money, but did we save the quantity, but we actually save money when you build in the increase in the rates. So everything else is really right where we expect it to be this time of year. No surprises there. Wanted to update the board on a couple of items. The 2017 road improvements work, which is going to be the resurfacing of Kibbe Road and Mill Road. The project is out to bid. It was noticed in the Republican today and the Central Register today. Bids are due on the 29th of this month. We actually had the documents done early, so they went out to Palmer and to Lane last week, since they're traditionally the two contractors that will be bidding as general contractor on the project. So I'm pretty certain we'll get bids in by the 29th without any reason to have to extend the bid date, since we get a head start on getting the documents out for questions. And then once those bids come in, we'll see what funds are left, and if we have something in the range of about $30,000, that's typically what we try to allocate to crack sealing in the fall this year. So if we have that amount of money available, we'll start thinking about what the crack sealing program for the fall will look like. The Maple Street water main design, Mr. Esposito and myself have been working on that. We're meeting with our design technician who does the design drafting for us tomorrow at the end of the day, and we'll be giving him markups on the design plans that can hopefully get that wrapped up in the next couple of weeks, so that project would be ready to go out to bid, and probably go out to bid, if not at the end of this month, very soon after July 1st, so that the project can be bid, get awarded, and hopefully constructed this fall before the medical office facility on Maple Street and the roadway improvements start next year. If the weather holds, we expect to see some line striping activity happening town-wide. As we talked about at the last meeting, Highway Safety Systems has been hired to do all the line striping, crosswalks, stop bars, etc. across the town, except for the parade route. And the parade route is what we do with our own staff. They're going to be doing half of the work this fiscal year and then half of it at the beginning of next fiscal year. They're not moving as fast as they like because of all the wet weather that we've had, so their schedule is getting pushed back a little bit in terms of our place in the queue. But we talked to them yesterday, and they're hoping to get in either Friday night or Saturday night to do the first half of the line striping in town. As everyone has seen, we have put the temporary changes to the rotary traffic pattern at the approach on Maple Street in place. We have cut the Maple Street approach down to a single lane coming into the rotary, primarily to improve the safety of the rotary. We certainly didn't expect it to improve traffic and probably actually have a negative impact on traffic by slowing traffic down and creating more of a backup on Maple Street, but eliminating the situation where you have two vehicles side by side that block each other, and we have had lots and lots of accidents this year. As far as I know, since those changes have been made, we haven't had any vehicle accidents in the rotary. We have had some fender benders on the approach on Maple Street as people are slowing down to stop on Maple. With the queuing distance being longer, there have been some fender benders there, and it's been, as I understand, some issues too with cars squeezing in and taking a right-hand turn on Shaker Road. That if this became permanent, we'll do some improved islands and line striping to better define where the straight-through lane is and the right-hand turn lane would be. But right at the moment, we didn't want to do that and paint something that we'd have to try to undo in the future. So we want to make certain that this makes sense before we make anything more permanent. Other items, we have a deadline to complete a townwide infiltration inflow study at the end of this year. I believe I've talked about it before that I didn't expect that this year was going to be a very good year to look for leakage in our sewer system, given how dry the year was coming into the springtime. I did have a conversation with the folks at Mass DEP a couple of weeks ago. They actually reached out to me to call me and said, you know, we got your point finally, and if you write us a letter requesting a one-year time extension, we will grant a administrative time extension. It won't be an enforcement action or anything like that. Just administratively, we'll have until the end of 2018 as opposed to the end of 2017. With the rainfall that we've had this spring, conditions are pretty close to normal now after the drought, but once the trees leaf out and everything really starts growing, the infiltration rate drops quite a bit because you get a lot of evapotranspiration, a lot of use of the groundwater by the vegetation. So even though it's been raining, most of that water doesn't make it into the groundwater table, and most of that water gets taken up. So we're typical, and if we have a reasonable fall or a reasonable springtime, those will be the times to be looking for infiltration inflow. But we didn't see the big spikes that we typically see in the springtime. We didn't see those this year because the groundwater was still way down. The soil was still very dry at that point. What else? A couple from a planning coordination standpoint. We have a couple of significant projects. Some we've talked about before, some we haven't, that we're supporting the planning department. The skilled nursing facility at the corner of Maple and Dwight Road will be submitting their final plans, I believe, within the next week. They submitted a stormwater permit application already, which we approved today. That project, because it doesn't require a separate permit from the Conservation Commission, then the DPW stormwater permit takes effect. If you recall, the way the stormwater bylaws were written, there's not duplication of permitting. If one agency permits stormwater, if the Conservation Commission does, with our input, the applicant is okay. If the Conservation Commission doesn't have jurisdiction, so they don't permit stormwater, and it triggers the stormwater threshold, we permit it. So in this case, because they weren't having Conservation Commission impacts, we actually end up issuing the permit. We haven't issued a lot because most projects end up having Conservation Commission interaction. This one didn't, so we have gone forward with the permit. There's also a significant development being proposed by Eversource on Denslow Road. It's a 30-something acre development where they're proposing to come in and put, I believe it's about 6.8 megawatts of solar, ground-mounted solar production capacity on that site down to the southwesterly end of Denslow Road. And that's a project that they've submitted preliminary plans on. We have done roundtable meetings with various town departments, provided input, and their final submittal will be coming in very shortly, as I understand. And likewise, we'll be issuing a stormwater permit for that project since it won't trigger Conservation Commission thresholds.
I think they were surveying today.
Okay.
I saw them out there.
And then the last item we have is on Deer Park Drive. There's a significant project coming in that will involve a connection to the Kinder Morgan Algonquin pipeline, not Kinder Morgan Tennessee Gas Pipeline. That'll be a supplemental gas addition location during the peak wintertime months in order to supplement what Kinder Morgan can put through the pipeline at that location. And that'll be coming down the pipeline very shortly, and DPW has been involved in reviewing that project as well. Moving ahead, the town council did meet last night. They did approve the water and sewer rates as recommended. The water rates were to stay even, and the sewer rates were to increase from $2.80 to $2.9 per 100 cubic feet. I did want to note that we did receive a couple of water complaints of dirty water today. Fairly certain I know the reason, or the reason for those complaints, and I expect it's a very temporary reason. Our Harkness pumping station, which is our supplemental pumping station that turns on during summertime peak months, normally turns on May, early June. This year, because of how wet it has been, we haven't hit the peak demand conditions that trigger that pump station kicking on until this morning. So it kicked on about 6:30 this morning. Anytime you do anything to change the flow of water, you know, how fast the water is moving, what pipes the water is moving through, you tend to rile the water up for a short amount of time. Similar to when we do a water flushing activity, you know, we typically will get some dirty water complaints immediately after that. So I expect that they're going to go away in a very short amount of time. But a couple of calls came in this morning. As I said, the pump station turned on for the first time this year about 6:30 this morning, so very likely related. We've talked in the past about staff. I did want to note that the individual who was hoping to work into the pumping station operator position, Brian Waldron, did take and pass his distribution grade 1 test yesterday. So as a result of that, he has been promoted into the pumping station operator position, and he has a period of time in order to get all the other certifications that are required. But he got to the level that we required for him to step into that position. He's been working to learn the position for the past 3 or 4 months right now, so I think he's stepping into it in pretty good shape. As a result of that, then that creates a skilled worker opening, because Brian was a skilled worker, and as he gets promoted, then we have to backfill his position. And that position has been posted as of today, so we'll hopefully get some strong candidates for that. I guess then the last thing I did want to, for the record, I know the board is already aware of this, but let everybody know that my last day of employment with the town is going to be June 30th, so I'll be wrapping up in a little bit more than 2 weeks. Looking ahead, from what I understand, a couple of things are in play right now. My position has been posted. I was posted last week. It's been posted as a combined Director of Public Works, Town Engineer position, which is not a new thing for the town of East Long Meadow. That's what the position used to be until 2 or 3 years ago. So we're somewhat going back to where, how the position had previously been defined. When I'm gone, my understanding is that Town Manager Bruce Fenney have had discussions of having Bruce step in as in an interim position until my position can be backfilled. So, we all obviously know Bruce very well. Bruce is very qualified, so we'll be in good hands. But Bruce is going to be very busy. He's already very busy. He's going to be even more busy. But that's what the game plan is moving ahead in the short term, is that Bruce will step in and be doing both his position as well as the critical pieces of my position that need to be kept going until the town can hire a replacement. The last thing I did want to note too is that the town manager and Bruce and I met with this firm today. Her plan is to bring in there's a small engineering firm based in East Windsor, Connecticut, called J.R. Russo, who is going to come in and provide some additional engineering support, given that we currently lack a town engineer as well as lacking a superintendent as of July 1st. And I suspect where Russo will have the biggest impact probably is providing support to the planning department. Since our planning department, they don't have technical review skills within the department, they've typically relied upon the DPW to provide those capabilities. At that point, we won't have anybody with a background in civil or environmental engineering, so I think that's where they're going to step in and fill the void as long as needed. And that is all I have.
Yes. Last week, Paul Schroeder through Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative emailed myself and Bob about some new rates for our natural gas supply and our electricity supply. We locked in a 3-year contract for natural gas through Sparks Energy, locked in at 0.694 per therm, down from 0.812, which a contract we locked in 2015. With some of Bob's help this morning, that gives us an annual savings of about 14.5%, and for a dollar figure per year, annual savings can be plus or minus about $50,000. On that note also, we locked in our electricity contract with the same supplier. Another 3-year contract we locked in because the price was advantageous for the town. We locked in at 0.0867 per kilowatt hour, down from 0.0945, with an annual savings a little lesser than the natural gas, 8.25%, which equates to a little over $55,000 per year.
Excellent.
So that's all been locked in, and I'm ready to go for this fall. Give the boards a heads up also, we have scheduled our next Step 3 application for all our facilities. One will be taking place on July 3rd, and the next will be on July 5th. Moving right along, I have completed our annual vehicle PM's parts and fluid bid. This year we actually went with one of our 3 vendors that actually is the only one that hasn't won the bid. The vendor was Palmer Trailer Sales Incorporated for $15,457. Fleet Pride came in roughly $200 higher than Palmer Trailer Sales. They came in at $15,652, and then Napa came in at $17,817. And that's all I have for the board this evening.
What have you been doing?
I don't know.
Town hall.
Town Hall's going well. We did actually, speaking about Town Hall, we did get the carpet installed this past Saturday in the hallways. I'm waiting for after July 1st to do all the recessed panels and that type of work after July 1st. And obviously, next fall, get back in there. We have one more bathroom to do and do a little bit of work more in the town manager's office.
So within a few weeks we'll be done except for the bathroom.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep. And we're still waiting for the fire sprinkler system to be put online. We're waiting for the FM 200 system for the server room to get finished up. So I'm waiting for Hiller to come in and get that going. And then we can get our inspections and flood the system, do our inspections on that, and get the whole entire facility online.
Excellent. Nicely done.
Thank you.
And if you do notice that there is some exposed piping in the town hall, that was by design, where there wasn't room within the wall or within the room, the ceilings, and the plan is to paint that,
Yes.
during some of the off periods. So there's, there's bare steel piping in some places that'll be taken care of.
Unfortunately, it's not too pretty, but we gotta do what we gotta do.
Some new buildings are being made that way.
Right.
You put the ceiling.
Yep.
Right.
Awesome.
Highway, Roy?
In front of you, you'll have our new work order system packet here. We're totally off of the old work order system now, and we're on the new work order system. You'll see there's two different papers here. One is the work that has been completed in sales and service, and there's a total. On this one here, the way we have it set up is working very well. As the work orders come in either from me or the town hall, or some things automatically will be sent to the supervisor that corresponds with that kind of work. And it's also, sent to me also, so I can monitor. So whether it's a berm or lumen seeding, say that would maybe go to Chad. If it's a mark out, it might go to Tom or water or sewer. So it automatically goes to them, and then I monitor it. And you can see the different types of work that as they come through. So, like some of it will stay in just the new category where I'll assign the foreman as I see fit. So you can see what's completed since we've had our last meeting. The other one is work that's still to be done, and it's into different categories. One is just assigned, which is assigned to an individual foreman. Another one is deferred, whether we're going to do it later or some other reason, and another one is in progress where it might be started. It's not finished yet, and then the new ones that I haven't assigned them yet. So I think this system is very good, working out very well. So with that said, I'll go into sweeping. We're just about done with the main sweeping because of the painting. The pavement marking contractor is going to be coming in. I wanted to make sure all the mains were done, so so the fog lines will be clean. So they're almost done, and we're going to be starting on the secondary streets probably on Monday. We have two summer help that are painting hydrants and signposts and straightening them up. They're doing a great job. We're almost done with the mains, and we'll be starting with the side streets on those also. Tree trimming, as the work comes in, we're putting on a list, and like today, for instance, was a day for trees. So we took down all the trees that we could, and then the rest are going on a bid list. And that bid list has already been awarded for the springtime. So so a company will be starting that anything that we can't reach. So that's going well. Catch basin cleaning, we're continuing to do that and do the repairs. In the future, what we have is the parade route. We got that almost painted. We just got the double yellow and some pavement markings to do for that, and then that will be done. And then we're going to start our future projects. We're going to be doing a connection for water main on Moore Street to tie in.
When we start the water on Maple Shade?
Well, okay, Maple Shade's going to be after the 4th of July.
After the 4th?
Yeah.
They may do some mobilization. We're still in fact, I was trading emails with the company today. The game plan is to have a pre-construction meeting a couple of days in advance of when they start. So I didn't want to ever meet too early, when they're starting to get geared up, and they haven't picked a date for that yet. So, but might be a few days before the 4th they start to show up. They may do some test pits, things like that.
Pits,
but they won't be laying any pipe. They won't be doing any mainline work before July 4th.
But after the 4th of July, they have a short time frame where they have to get it all done, so I'm sure they'll be, going to town on Maple Street. But in July, once we get caught up with everything, we'll start the connection over on Moore. we'll be tying in Maplehurst to Melrose to the end of Moore. It's a nice little, project I've been trying to get finished. And then we'll be doing a new water main on Fern Glen and tying into Fernwood. So that's all I have.
Anybody have anything for Kathy Miller? Motion to adjourn. Let's
Next meeting.
schedule the next meeting for June 27th, 5 o'clock at the service building. Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.